Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the 2021 Patriots Unfiltered Draft Show, presented by Bose.
Welcome to the NFL Draft
with Mike Dussault.
But you can't deny that he has the skill set that they have liked for 20 years here.
Yeah.
Nothing? You guys got nothing?
Eric Scalavino.
I think I wrote him as my biggest bust in the draft for our predictions.
Oh,
man.
Paul Perillo.
I'm starting to see the silver linings of things.
Just generally in
Usually it
life?
takes-
or-
Here comes
a nice snarky take.
Well, you're right.
And Fred Kirsch.
Bledsoe was my favorite player when I was a kid, so.
Well, if you like Bledsoe, then you should love Mac Jones.
This is the 2021 Patriots Unfiltered Draft Show,
The New England Patriots like
presented by Bose.
Right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered, the draft extravaganza night 2. We are going to be here until 10 p.m. Eastern time talking Patriots draft and other teams draft, but really focusing on the Patriots like no one else does. And glad you can join us. We're on video until 8 o'clock, and then we're going to go to audio per NFL rules. But until then, you can see our faces. It's Mike Dussault, Eric Scalavino, Paul Perillo, myself, Fred Kirsch. Matt LePan is in the booth today. Matt Morrell had to go to a wedding. I can't believe that. A wedding?
Who schedules a
It's
wedding
the
on
draft.
draft weekend? Come on.
It's the draft.
When did Mark Capello show up?
No,
I haven't seen.
it's
is
one
my
of
mic
those
on?
COVID
can hear you.
postponed
They
weddings
sound
that he
very
had to
funny.
go to.
I haven't seen Matt LePan since the season finale.
Yeah,
Flash and LePan.
It's been a while.
he's back.
Yeah,
Still the same big fat guy that I always am.
it's all right. It's why we love you. So, guys, we've had a little bit of time to digest everything that happened last night.
Big day.
Any thoughts, as we go into day 2, Mac Jones or otherwise?
Yeah, well, we got to see Mac today. He was making the rounds of the stadium. I mean, it just seemed like he's just getting escorted everywhere. But Robert and Jonathan introduced him at the stadium, and I don't know. I thought that was awesome. Just for me, all we've been through in the last year, to be outside. There were people getting
Oh, that was
vaccinated.
your first one of those ceremonies, right?
It was, and,
Yeah.
and I've always known about those. I know that they're a thing, and there were some fans at the gate cheering for him when he
Mike
walked
used to
out.
stand on the outside of the blue.
I did. I used to be the guy standing, but people were up getting vaccinated, which we're about to cross 500,000.
Yeah,
which
it was
is
a good
amazing.
scene. It was a
People
nice
clapping.
scene.
It was a great vibe.
It was an
It's just
excellent scene.
one of the
I
first
agree
times
with
that I felt like maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're kind of getting back to normal. We had all the media there, and everybody was out on the field, so it was cool. And we got to interview Mac as well. Which
Yeah,
is coming
so
up.
as you said,
Yeah, and
Mac actually came into the radio studio after he did his media car wash. And so a little bit later, probably around 7:20, we'll show you that interview that we had with Mac Jones right here in the studio.
Yep.
So
Awesome.
that was pretty cool. Deuce, you're still gushing.
I was.
I mean, you were like a little high school girl.
I know,
I couldn't believe it.
I know. It's funny because I have been here a couple years, so I have had some interaction with players. I think it was just kind of overwhelming to, he went last night from a guy that maybe we might draft to a guy that we drafted. He's on the TV, and then all of a sudden he's sitting here in the studio with us. It was just a little bit surreal, but it was cool to get to talk to him, and really nice kid, and it's amazing what they're doing. I mean, PR is just cycling him through. I mean, his head is spinning right now. All the stuff that I'm sure they're giving him. I mean, not even just the football stuff, just the general of going in. You're in a new job now. Welcome to your professional career. So
Little
cool.
perspective for you, Deuce. You're old enough to be his father. Okay.
I look
Just
old
keep that
enough
in
too, which
perspective.
is kind of feels weird for me. But no, he was great kid. It was fun, and it makes you root for him a little bit more. You get to meet him, just get to be around him.
Yeah, it's a fun day seeing the jersey presentation. We haven't had one of those in a couple of years because of the COVID last year, and so yeah, it's cool that that you got to experience that.
Yeah, no, I got fond memories of seeing the pictures of Mayo, and over the years it was always a thing, and
Our
so,
staple cover for
Yeah.
PFW.
Yeah,
That's the Kraft and Mayo go together.
That's right. Yeah.
Quote. That's where that
came from.
originated. I would agree with everything Mike said about today with Mac Jones. I thought he was impressive. I thought came across very polished. I enjoyed talking to him. It seemed like he has, good, kind of understated, but a good personality, I would say. My thoughts on the night itself probably remain the same. I'm thrilled that they drafted a quarterback. I'm not sure that it's the right one. Doesn't matter right now. We'll find that out in due time. But I am really happy that the Patriots drafted a quarterback. They identified and didn't get stubborn what the number one problem on the roster was. I was starting to get a little concerned about the whole Cam Newton thing. Just this abnormal sort of fixation with Cam Newton. He's back. And, I know that Bill said Cam Newton's our quarterback. He didn't draft a guy with the 15th overall pick to forever sit behind Cam Newton.
Of course.
He will be the guy eventually, if not in week 1, if not in 2021. It will be in due time.
And to your point, Paul, I was thinking about this a little bit on the ride home, and I knew that took a lot of people a little bit by surprise of how Bill just was like, well, Cam's our guy, and Max said that as well. But, I think what is Bill Belichick's ultimate goal? I don't think he really cares how it works out. He just wants to win. And I think the way he handled last night was a little bit of a vote of confidence for Cam Newton. Maybe just, it's still, hey, it's your job still. We still believe in you, but also kind of protecting Mac Jones, and not – being like, look, he's got a lot to learn. We're not, he was in no way thrust in the fire. So, I just think Bill's very calculating, but I think at the end of the day, he wants to get the results and he wants to produce competition, but also, for Cam to know that we still believe in you and keep working. And, it's not like we brought this guy in and we're kicking you out as soon as we can, even if that might be the case.
We haven't seen this in 30 years where the Patriots needed and took a quarterback in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's like, whoa,
Right.
But for Bill, he can't do that. It would be completely out of character. And that's one of his strengths is he's always even keel. So the fact that he, picked a quarterback at 15, he's not going to treat him any differently. He's not going to give him any special privileges, no special treatment, and he wants to let really his team know that that's going to be the case.
And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's very consistent to the way Belichick is generally conducted business. I agree, Fred.
Yeah,
he's not going to just say, we took the guy at 15. What do you think? Of course he's going to be our quarterback.
Right.
No, you got to go out and prove it.
Yeah, and I think that's more of why he said what he said about Cam. I think it was more about what he said about Cam was more about Mac Jones than it was about Cam Newton. I thought, it was sort of like take a little bit of the pressure off this kid. We just drafted him. We know that, it's a premier position and in a premier round in the draft, but give him time. Let him develop in his own time.
The question is, how long will it be before Mac Jones is our quarterback?
Well, I
Not
think it's
long.
up to Cam Newton. And I'd be curious just what Cam Newton's.
Now that's interesting. Is
think
it up to Cam Newton or is it up to Mac Jones?
right now I still think it's up to Cam Newton.
I think it's up to Mac Jones.
I do too.
But you're by saying that, you're saying he has more ability left than he showed last year.
I think
because at last year's level, it's up to Mac Jones.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that in a way of that I feel very confident that he's going to come in and play 16 games and lead the Patriots to. But I just think he's better than what he showed last year, and I think he will be better early on. Is it enough to get him to week 5, week 6 when things maybe aren't going as great? I don't know about that, but I just haven't completely ruled out Cam being a little bit better, at least giving them, hey, this is the kind of veteran that we want to bring in. We always talk about like they're going to bring in a veteran who will kind of hold things down for a little bit until Mac's ready. I think Mac will need a little bit of time, but I'm curious what Cam's reaction was last night when they selected him, when he heard Bill say Cam's our guy, and even when you hear Max say it, it seems like it's.
One thing I know is he came into Alabama and they had Hurts first, and then they had Tua, but I don't think either of those guys have the swagger that Cam Newton has.
No, it's Cam.
I mean,
Newton.
Cam Newton has swagger.
He does,
and from day one, he's going to be showing that swagger. So like your Mac Jones, it's like I do have to stay in my lane for a little while.
Oh, I know, and he seems like such a normal kid sitting here, and then Cam Newton is like,
we asked Mac Jones to do a mic check, and he's like, "Hello." I mean, he's like so low.
But here's the thing. I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit off air last night. But like, do you want your first round pick quarterback coming in and saying or acting like that?
Like what?
Like what you just said. Like coming in like, Cam Newton's got the swagger. I'm going to play second fiddle to him. Don't you want your first round draft pick quarterback coming in and saying, yeah, I'm gonna compete as hard as everybody.
I want him thinking that.
Yeah.
I want him thinking that, and I'm sure he does because, it's one of the things, and you'll see the interview. We talked about his competitiveness.
Yeah.
Every scouting report says he's uber competitive.
Yeah.
No matter what he does. So I got to imagine. In his mind, he's like, I'm going to win this job. This job is mine. But he can't say that. He's been schooled. Nick Saban probably was one of the people he talked to last night. And I'm sure Nick Saban gave him a little bit of a primer on what you need to do on
Yeah.
a Bill Belichick team.
Yeah, and if he did, I don't think it was like a great primer. I think we talked about this. I think you don't come in and say, well, these guys are going to be chasing me. No, that's not the right way either.
That's right.
But there's a happy medium
Right.
to what he did and what we're saying
Yeah.
he shouldn't have done.
Like,
Well,
you
he,
can-
he played it safe. He didn't want to make a mistake.
I think he played
I
it.
think he,
maybe
I,
played it really
I
timid.
think he
Yeah.
was fine. I thought he was
I think he was fine. I just
I
don't
think he was
what-
better today.
He was
Let's put it
better
that
today,
way.
and that's what just didn't really match up. Was I think we got some good stuff from Mac about his competitiveness, and that's what we all feel about him. It didn't quite match up with what we heard last night, but I think what you want is not so much I'm coming for you, Cam Newton. It's more it's simmering below the surface, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to compete. But he'll learn. He's you just look at him. He's wide-eyed kid coming here for the first time, and it's just hard to go from being that even though he's a quarterback at Alabama to come in and be like, I'm going to take Cam Newton's job. I mean that's a lot
No,
to say,
he
and not
doesn't
to
need
say
to
that
do
that's
that.
what it is, but I think there's a happy medium, and he'll
Well,
figure it out.
I mean, we remember the story of Tom Brady running into Robert Kraft as a rookie and saying, "I'm the best decision you ever made." That's like kind of our last memory of a young kid coming in and
Right.
taking the job.
Yeah, and
even then it took him a year.
right, and I think he said
it took him an injury.
yeah. I think and Brady has kind of corrected that over the years. Brady has kind of corrected that mythology over the years to that he really said
Kyle
you'll
Brady.
never regret drafting me.
the Paul Bunyan axe story.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, is that right? He corrected it?
Yeah, he's gone on the record and said I didn't really actually say that I'm the best pick you ever made. What I said was you're never going to regret having drafted me, which is it's similar, but it's
a lot.
definitely
I agree with you. It's a lot different.
yeah. But it kind of the way Mac Jones was, couldn't help thinking of when Jimmy Garoppolo was first here. The first impression we got of him when he got here, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, it was very much like sort of starry-eyed. Wow, like this is like I can't believe I'm here. This is the NFL. Like we actually were with him when he was walking around the bowl of Gillette Stadium, like, and he was like taking it all in, like. He played at what was it, Eastern Illinois?
You might be right. I don't really remember.
And then after like that first, rookie orientation weekend, when the next time we talked to him, he'd already had a couple of practices under his belt. He'd been here for a while. He'd gone through all the orientation, and there was a different Jimmy, like the wide-eyed, starry-eyed,
jaded
like
Jimmy.
Well, I don't know about jaded, but yeah, right. I got this Brady guy like bringing me down.
Didn't I already talk to you?
Right.
Move along.
But like he got over that pretty quickly, is my point. Like he came in starry-eyed kid.
Yeah, but he never.
But he got over it pretty quickly.
He never ever said anything that would be even interpreted as a challenge to Tom Brady.
No, but
I think we want to. I think the three of us want to defend. None of us is suggesting that Mac Jones should say something that's suggesting
right.
he's the man over Cam Newton.
Right.
But you don't have to sit there and say, I'm going to be taking notes for Jared and Cam.
Right. It was a little
There's
obsequious.
a difference there between those two things.
Do you think he's being a little
I
passive?
thought he was
Yes.
a little timid.
I
thought he was a little timid.
Yeah.
I think he was better today. I thought he came across a little bit more forceful today. No false bravado.
Right.
No one's looking for that. That
no
forced
false,
me.
and
That
no
kinda
false
talk
modesty either.
forced
That
me.
right.
No, absolutely.
That's a great way to put it. I don't need the false modesty.
Yep.
You know that you're the 15th pick of the draft. I mean, on paper, you're way ahead of Jarrett Stidham. On paper, right?
Oh, by the way, we missed the biggest news of the day. The quarterback
Jake
position.
Delgado.
Yeah. Poor guy. No, seriously. Jake Dolegala no longer with the team.
He was released for those of you who like
knew
to
he
keep
was-
track of the
who knew he was
rosters.
even here to
So
begin.
we're down to 76 players
I think
now. Well,
that's-
77 counting Mac
Yeah,
Jones.
so we lost one, we gained one. I think we're still at 76, I believe, if my math is correct. So
Everybody's been writing 77. Am I gonna do I have to
We have
check?
to go and count.
Do I have to now keep track of these things and not trust you?
I got the numbers right
I
here.
only
I'm
give
gonna
you
count
one
it up.
mistake. Once there's a mistake, it's like Eric with the attendance. Eric gets to take the attendance until I find a mistake. Last year, no mistakes. He keeps doing the attendance every day. It's been fantastic.
Because Paul doesn't like taking attendance.
Correct. Don't want to be bogged down in the mundane.
I'm like, when was this a training
The
camp? Is that
minutia.
what-
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back,
Already?
we're going to talk about what we think the Patriots will do tonight and also take a look at that Mac Jones interview right after this.
To all those rookies waiting for that call tonight, I got a little piece of advice for you. Don't let anybody tell you that looks don't matter in this game. Because, baby, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, oh, you prime time good.
NFL Draft first round pick, Deion Sanders.
Gillette, baby, the best a man can get.
All right, we're back here. So Mac Jones is he's going to be the next Patriots quarterback, and I think for a while. What do you think they're going to do tonight?
Well, I think based on
14th pick tonight.
Yeah, I think based on the draft, you know what's left out there. I think wide receivers, what we all of us kind of feel there's some really good players out there for today. And I think there's a lot of fast, I mean, whatever you kind of want. I think, there's outside guys, there's inside guys that are fast. I think that's the sweet spot for the position. But, in terms of needs, I think tackle, cornerback, you look at guys going into their last deal and you think about, here we go, we're getting into the middle rounds now. Still hope that today we can get, maybe a guy who can contribute or two today that can come in and actually play.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, I have nothing to add to that.
Oh, I was just going to say that, we have to consider they've taken quite a few offensive linemen the past few years, and in various rounds. So do they continue to go to that well?
Yes.
You think in the draft?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
You think they're going to continue that?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because I would still I kind of agree with Paul on this, that you can kind of get an offensive lineman pretty much anywhere. So if there's an opportunity to get some of these skill guys like wide receiver, cornerback, high up in this day two, I would rather see that than the stud.
I'm sure.
Yeah, the first pick is in of the night. Jacksonville.
Don't tell me. Is it?
No, it's the Dussault family name.
Tyson Campbell. Oh, that was my boys. So I guess there won't be any in-house controversy tonight about jersey swaps or anything like that.
So we are off.
We are off and running.
Same
Tyson
thing
Campbell,
as last night, 7-17 before we get a pick.
The first pick of the
17
Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jets are on the clock. And again, the Patriots are picking 14th in this round. They were 15th in the last round.
Mm-hmm.
They moved up.
Yeah, I'd like to see some aggressiveness. I'm with Mike and Eric. I like wide receiver, and I like the idea of targeting a guy like Elijah Moore is the guy that we keep fixating on. And I like the idea of taking a couple of the fourth-round picks and seeing if you can slide up a couple of spots.
I like
and
your
make sure
thinking
you get
there
them.
too, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a huge need to add 9 more guys to the roster over the next 2 nights.
Right.
I think, too, on like the edge position and linebacker, I think that's kind of the wild card spots. There's a lot of guys, and it's tough to really pin down who fits
I just
well.
don't like a lot of the edge guys.
I don't like a lot of them either.
I think that's a big need.
A lot of rough, like that's what's hard to project about it, because I think you've got guys with size that, don't maybe fit that kind of 6'4", 250 outside linebacker thing. So I don't know. That might be a wild card spot for them, front seven.
Yeah, I think this linebacker whose name I'm not even going to attempt from
Deo
Notre
Adingbo?
Dame.
Oh.
I don't think he's going to make it to 14, but I'd take him if he did.
Owosu Koromoa.
Koromoa. Yeah, he's a good player. I think he's more of a safety in the NFL, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's an edge guy.
Yeah.
He's sort of like a box safety.
I mean, he's smaller than Duggar,
Yeah.
It's like he's
he's
going to be that guy.
He's a good football player. You play football now.
Yeah.
He's a good player, Fred. I know why you like him. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's just the
active,
tape,
all over the place,
all
fast,
over.
just
shooting gaps all over, chasing down quarterbacks.
And maybe they want someone like that to sort of complement Duggar, who they took last year and who showed some promise in a lot of action that he saw last year as a rookie.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule that out.
All right, as promised, why don't we go to the interview that we did earlier today with Mac Jones. So, Pepe, why don't you run that? All right, we're here with Mac Jones. Mac, welcome to New England. I know you've been hearing that all day and all last night, but you know, you got a little taste of the wind out there. That's what it's like every day, by the way. Just so you know.
Just so you know, today wasn't windy. I wouldn't worry about it at all for a quarterback.
I've had mixed reviews on that. Some people said it will never be that windy.
No, it was pretty bad today.
Yeah, it was bad. So you're getting a little bit of a tour. When you were with the owner, did he take you into the trophy room?
Not yet.
Oh.
We went up to, his office and kind of just talked for a little bit. And,
okay.
I'm just looking around having a good day.
One of these days you'll check that out.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
No doubt.
I just wanted to ask you a quick question. I know we've only got you for a brief time. Everybody talks about your competitiveness. Give me an example outside of football of how competitive you are.
Honestly, it's very competitive. Whether it's my family or anything like that. I mean, table tennis, like ping pong, or normal tennis or pool basketball. I mean, if I'm playing something, I'm trying to win. So,
yeah.
I mean, I used to get real mad when I was little when I lost, and you got to kind of learn how to lose.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm gonna do something, whether it's school or football or anything, I'm competing.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of
broken
people.
tennis rackets.
Yeah.
Ever?
I did that before, but
Okay.
I've gotten better.
Yeah,
At,
I know
not
that.
Doing that.
I hear that.
Yeah, Mac, I want to ask you just about the pre-draft process. It's a weird year. You come off winning a national championship. You go to the Senior Bowl. You compete there. You throw twice, which I think you were the first quarterback. To throw twice. What was just
the trend?
Yeah. What was your just your approach going into this offseason? Going into the pre-draft process. What was your approach to that?
Honestly, just it goes back to the last question. Just compete. So, Senior Bowl, they told me not to go really, and I said I'm just gonna go and compete, and moving from there, you should do 1 pro day. I said let's do 2, compete, and it just kind of just goes back to that. Meetings, they're like, oh, well, this team might not pick you, and I met with every team that I possibly could, because you never know. So, honestly, I'm just super glad that it ended up here because it's kind of what I wanted, to get into a good spot with great coaches and great teammates, and just have a lot of stuff around you that can help you, and all I have to do is do my job and be a great teammate, and everything will play out.
Yeah, if you love that, if you love football,
Yeah.
this is good. This is going to be a good place for you.
I know. Yeah,
Fred will break it down for you. He'll tell you all the football stuff.
Yeah.
But continuing with the pre-draft stuff that Mike had mentioned, just the process. I'm just wondering, with all of those NFL players that Alabama has, you have a couple of quarterbacks and that you were around, and just curious if you talked to Tua at all about the process, what he went through a year ago, and was there any conversations there?
Yeah, I mean, me and Tua will shoot each other some texts every once in a while. He had a long season, and it's your rookie year, and I know that he, probably wishes that sometimes he could give me some advice and stuff, and I think he's just so busy sometimes it's hard to. But I talked to him and Jalen. Jalen actually FaceTimes me a lot just to check in with me, and those guys have been awesome, kind of role models for me, and I've learned a lot from them, and hopefully, just being in that room, asking the questions that I asked, and just kind of having a good football mind that they, learn from me as well. So
yeah,
we
kind of get to see him twice a year.
Yeah, there you go.
Going to be division rivals.
Yeah, Tua's a great guy and a great family, and honestly, he's gonna be awesome this year.
I think you might see Jalen in the preseason too. That's
Yeah.
not for sure yet, but I think
there we go.
I think Philly's usually one of the teams that the Patriots play in.
Yeah, those guys are good.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen really impressed me the way he handled that whole situation. A lot of class.
Yeah, I learned a lot from both of them, but that's just one example. The way he handled it, and the way Tua handled it too. It's not easy for either of them to do, and they both did a great job.
Yeah.
Did you have a team in mind? I mean, I know you mentioned a lot about how much the Patriots you were hoping, but what did you think going into Thursday night where you might end up?
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't know. I met with 20 teams on Zoom, 20 different teams, and so it's just like you're sitting there, all right, let's see. I met with these guys. This is their GM, this is that, and then kind of started going down. Maybe some people thought I was going to go a little higher, but I was actually excited, honestly, because I wanted it to be a better fit. It wasn't less about where, but just make sure it's a great fit.
All right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know it's been a long day, long night. It's not over yet, so I don't want to keep you. We'll see you around.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks for
Open
stopping
invitation
in, Matt.
anytime you want, right here. Thanks, Stace.
Good luck.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that was our interview earlier with Mac Jones. Masks up. We didn't want to be the ones to get him sick. I can just imagine, goes into Patriots Unfiltered, and they get him sick.
Well, we're unfiltered.
You've been vaccinated though.
Yeah,
That's true.
Correct.
we're all vaxxed.
We're all vaxxed.
Right.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good. Yeah, it was good interview. I love just hearing about the competitiveness, you know, and that's what I enjoyed. And I mean, the question I asked him, it was just, I think you kind of heard all that speculation about him, you know, going to the Senior Bowl, even though people were telling him not to, and then throwing twice, even though, you know, a lot of guys were only going to throw once. And it was just cool to hear him kind of confirm what we were hearing about, you know, him going above and beyond to compete and just, you know, not taking, you know, not being worried about, hey, maybe I'll do something that they're not going to like. He just is continuing to show that he wants to go out there, he wants to play and show what he can do. And you got to respect that.
Yeah, I liked that part of it. That's why I thought that's one of the reasons why I said I felt like he was better today. Like I really liked the way he answered Mike's question with that. They told me not to do it.
They told me not to.
But the competition. In other words, I'm better than these guys, and I wanted everybody to know it. I like that.
Right, and I hope I hope that shows when he gets out on the field.
Now,
here.
it wasn't. I'm going to take Cam Newton's job.
No.
Like, you can exude confidence without saying you're the best.
Right.
Yeah, by competing
and
by putting yourself out there and
that
doing it.
answer, why did you do it?
Yeah.
I wanted to compete.
Right.
Tells you.
And I'm not afraid to compete.
It tells you his mindset.
I'm not intimidated
I like
by, you know,
you
a
see what I'm
flashy guy
saying?
like Cam
Yeah,
Newton.
I mean,
Freddie, you see what I'm
somebody
saying?
like that.
And you know, that's one of the
Apples
knocks
to
that,
oranges.
you know, was it Carson Wentz? They had on Carson Wentz. He, you know, like in Philadelphia, he was like, you know, I don't.
It's not mine. I
he
don't
didn't
want it.
say it, but
No,
the
that was
pressure
one of the
I don't want to
knocks.
compete.
That
you
was
know?
one of the knocks, is that he thought that it was his job and he wasn't interested in competing for his job.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Brady got pissed off when they drafted Garoppolo.
Yeah.
But all it did was light more of a fire under his butt.
Right.
You
And,
know?
and I will say, as much as I criticize Aaron Rodgers,
he
had
stepped
2 or
up.
3 subpar years in a row. They did that. He was pissed, and he turned in an MVP season.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, they just took Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I know.
They did. They're having a good draft.
That was one of the guys I was hoping for too.
Yeah. Offense is really being remade down there in New
I
York.
think Denver took running back Javonte Williams.
He's a good one. Yeah, you know, we're getting to the point now, and with Tyson Campbell going, a lot of the outside corners that I really liked, it seems like that's a position we talked a lot about, and a position that, you know, a lot of us had J.C. Horn as the first-round pick. You see it as a long-term need, and I feel like right now it's getting a little thin, and I wonder, you know, maybe we're going to roll with Gilmore and Jackson, and maybe it's going to be more of a late-round kind of flyer thing on that kind of guy, but I think kind of the elite outside corner guys are kind of off the board at this point. So I think that's changing the dynamic for the draft a little bit for the Patriots.
All right, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline, web radio at patriots.com. Let's take a quick phone call on the Ace Ticket Hotline. Sean's in Vancouver. What's up, Sean?
Hey, guys. Good to speak with you again. Paul, I really laughed yesterday when, I know you were joking, but you were talking with a caller claiming to be Vince Ferragamo, because I grew up in
Claim,
Montreal.
that was.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, anyways, I grew up in Montreal, and I remember in '81 when Nelson Scalabrini bought that team, and he brought in Ferragamo and these other NFL players.
I remember it well.
Scott and Billy White Shoes Johnson, and then that destroyed the team. They had to go bankrupt and
yeah, they gave him. I want to say they gave him $4 million. To leave the NFL, and I don't know if you know, Sean. Fred's not lying. He's seriously my cousin.
Vince Ferragamo?
Yes.
Yeah.
That wasn't him on the line.
It wasn't really him on the line, but
it is his cousin.
It is my cousin. I mean, it's a very distant relative. I think his mother is like second cousins with my grandmother or something ridiculous like that. But
oh wow.
Yeah, I was obviously a huge fan. I met him when I was really young at a family reunion, and we got autographed pictures and stuff. And my brother and I really closely followed his career, and we obviously loved him and loved watching him. He had a 30-touchdown season with the Rams, but they wanted to go back to Pat Hayden, and he was pissed. And he got this offer, and Sean's right. It was Nelson Scalabrini was the owner of the Montreal Alouettes. And I think it was a $4 million offer, and he didn't make it through the season. He was throwing pick after pick. I think he threw something like 30 picks. And it was just a disaster. He ended up going back to the NFL. He played for John Robinson back in L.A., and he finished up his career, much better, and that was it. And I really haven't. I have not seen him.
Cousin
or-
Vince?
Yeah.
You didn't get a taste of that $4 million?
No,
No?
no, unfortunately.
Doesn't go as far as it used to.
His
Taste.
family, I believe, grew up in Revere, and
Is it Canadian dollars though?
yeah, could be, could be.
But it was closer back then. But you know what? I think in terms of what the Patriots should do today, I'd like Eldred's pick to still be there. I'm hoping they're going to get Marshall because I still think
He's out
wide
there.
receiver is their number one.
Yeah, Terrace Marshall, I would take. I
Yeah.
just would have a
He's
hard
out
time
there.
spelling it.
Thanks, Sean.
Saying it.
You want to say Terrence?
Terrence.
Yeah.
Terrace. Like, out on the terrace.
Terrace. Yeah, out on the terrace. Right.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, a lot more calls and emails. Patriots getting closer. We're at number 5. Patriots at 14. We'll be right back.
The first ever virtual NFL draft is officially open.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
All right. Welcome back. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline, web radio at Patriots.com. The Broncos took Javonte Williams, running back out of North Carolina. The pick is in for Miami at 4, and the Eagles are on the clock. So things are moving a little bit here. It's 10 minutes between picks in the second round?
7 minutes.
7?
10 minutes in the first, 7 in the second,
Okay.
5 in rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6.
So it is 7 minutes in the second
Yes.
round.
7 minutes.
Guys,
It still doesn't go as fast
you guys
as you hope.
steered me wrong. I thought it was 7 minutes, and you guys were
What did
telling
I
me
say?
5.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, when
Our
did they
math
change
was
that?
way
That's
off.
awesome.
5 minutes in the third.
I got all excited.
And then 4 minutes in
4
the 7th
minutes in the
round.
7th.
Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Get him out. Boom, boom, boom. Knock him out.
Paul's not happy with us.
No, he's not.
I
He
did
just said
nothing.
that.
I love to read negative emails because, you know, we read them all here.
Keeps us balanced.
Paul's in Chichester, UK. He
Nope,
says, well,
nope,
you've done
nope.
it again.
Chichester.
I gave it a few weeks, came back and tried you out again. The negativity from the previous shows had gone, and the excitement for the draft was palpable from all of you. So I thought I'd listen to the draft show. I'd never listened to one before, and chances are it was going to be a good one. Then the doom and gloom as the Patriots pick approached. The huffing and oh no at every passing selection made the corners of my mouth turn down in the sour taste return. The Mac Jones pick comes in, and it all kicks off. I got 2 sentences into Paul's sanctimonious rant about he's not going to change his opinion just because the Patriots picked him, and I switched off. Your negativity is disgraceful. Deuce was the only one who put a positive spin on it. Eric, I was particularly disappointed in. Fred, you may have had something good to say, but I wasn't going to get preached to by Paul, so I couldn't click the off button quick enough.
Well,
so there.
Obviously, you clicked the off button because there was no preaching to be done. Mike liked the pick. Paul didn't. No preaching.
Yeah, and I think if you had stayed on, you would have found that we found a pleasant middle ground of
I'll say the same thing I said last night a million times. I love that they chose a quarterback.
We're all hopeful.
Me too.
Yeah.
You got to work through it though. I mean, I think we're reacting to these things live, and it's tough.
But, as I said last night, I prefaced my remarks by saying I've been saying all pre-draft, all off-season, if they took Mac Jones, I would be conflicted about it because it meant they took a pick in the first round at a position I wanted them to take, but it was at one of the players I liked least in the top echelon. Yeah. So I was conflicted about it. You should have known that was coming, Paul. If you listen to any of the shows during the offseason.
He had said he had turned us off and decided to come back.
But I don't
right.
care.
Well, that's why you shouldn't turn us off.
But
you
I don't
should listen to every show.
You have to know what's going on
exactly.
in the show.
It doesn't matter what he
never take a show off.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he expected or thought was going to happen or whatever. He has no interest in listening to a show unless it says what he wants you to say.
That's kind of.
There's nothing negative about saying. And I know this sounds counterintuitive. It's not negative to say you don't like a pick.
The Patriots are trading up.
Yeah, I thought this had to happen.
Oh, wow. I didn't think it would happen so quickly, though.
I didn't either.
But
I like
it's not as quick as you think it is.
Why?
because they're at like the 6th pick already.
No, but I didn't think
That's pretty quick.
I thought
they'd wait till they make the pick
Yeah.
and then fill that gap between.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought they would trade up from 14.
Yeah, I thought they were going to trade into the 3rd round.
I was hoping it was for Elijah
Yeah.
Moore, but
we just missed out.
I was wrong.
Let's look at the thing.
Well, the Eagles pick is in.
That's Landon Dickerson, I believe.
So did they trade with the Bengals?
If we're on the clock right now, yes.
They did. They traded up to number 38. So,
Yep, that's with the Bengals.
So, I think Terrace Marshall,
yep, he's
Rondale
in play.
Moore, those are some of the receivers that are available, but I don't know. It's a tough. They obviously have somebody that they like, and that's exciting. So we'll see who they're going to pick. But
well, let's guess. Who do you think?
All right. Well, I am seeing now who it is.
Oh,
who is it?
It is Alabama defensive tackle Christian Barmore.
Christian Barmore, defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, probably the best defensive tackle in this class, which isn't saying a lot. But I'm interested in this pick because I feel like he was
He's a front seven guy.
Of course, but he's an upfield kind of guy, and I think that's what he does best. And so I think I kind of devalued him a little bit just because I see that as a rotational role within the system. But I think here we are in the 2nd round. I mean, they did a bunch in free agency at the defensive front in terms of adding guys that are early down run stuffer, Devon Godchild, those kind of guys. I think that this guy is a passing down guy, and you look at Adam Butler got away. Christian Barmore is probably going to be your top interior pass rusher. So I think it's a good move in that regard. I'm a little surprised that they took him this soon just because, again, I think that that's a specialty kind of position. Adam Butler was an undrafted free agent. You can find a guy who can kind of come in and play third down. But what you can't deny is this guy is probably the best defensive tackle in an admittedly weak class.
So you're going up 8 spots, 14-6. I wonder what the load was that they had to give up.
Good player, by the way, Christian Barmore.
He
I know
is.
people like to attack me for being negative. He's a first-round talent. Good player.
He is, and a lot of projections had him, right in the middle. I mean, there were probably a few Patriots mocks that I saw that, had the Patriots picking him. But, it's a second Alabama guy, so the train continues.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of that I don't like, and also just the skill. I think that they need to attack some of the skill spots, but there's no denying everything Mike described Barmore as. He is. He's good, solid, just a productive player.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they'd take Marshall maybe there.
Yeah. I think we all were.
Don't be negative.
So it's here's Field Yates has the terms. So they traded 46, 122, and 139. So we burned off a couple of those picks.
Say again, Deuce, please.
So just what I said.
46, 122.
And 139. Those are two of the 3 fourth
two of the
rounders,
3
correct?
fourths.
Correct.
That's the
That's
second.
exactly what I said. Trade 2 of the 4th rounders to move up. I just wanted it to be Elijah Moore.
Beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, some action here for the Patriots early in the 2nd round. Christian Barmore.
So the Patriots are now down at this time to 8 picks.
Yeah, they're down to that.
But that will not stay that way.
So just 5 tomorrow. So they burned 2 of them. So it's interesting. I mean, we kind of thought that might happen, but
yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it stays that way. You predicted, Fred, that they wouldn't make 10 selections.
They would not pick 10 players.
And we know that they like to have a decent amount of undrafted players. Once the draft dust settles, they like to restock, look at the guys who weren't selected. Now, I know this year's a little different because, as we also said, there are a lot of players who didn't sign with agents this year. The crop might be a little bit watered down than it normally is. But I think they still like to add those players who aren't part of the draft process. So maybe this also allows them a chance to get a few more of those guys after the fact.
Yeah, and I think, it speaks to what we say a lot about the Patriots defense is that they like a spectrum of guys. They like, guys that can do different things and can allow them to play different styles depending on their opponent. They like to go back and forth between their fronts. Is he an every down interior defensive tackle? I'm not sure.
See, I think he could be, but I do like your description of him, as being a guy that can penetrate. He's not the typical Patriots defensive tackle.
He's not a 2-gap.
He's a penetrating, playmaking guy. I think did he have 8 sacks?
I have to check the stats on that.
I don't know. I might be confusing him with someone else. But I agree with the way Mike talked about him. I think he has the potential to be more than just a big body run stuffer. He's a playmaker. He makes negative plays. I like that.
Yeah,
This guy's a good player. I like Barmore.
Yeah, I mean he's going to step right in and certainly have a significant role. So 6'4", 310. I mean it's real solid size.
10 career sacks in 2 seasons.
That's not bad from that
Disruptive.
position.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the typical
hold your ground,
run stuffing,
just
310-pound defensive tackle.
Yeah, and which is what they
More
went
of a
out.
Warren, not that he's Warren Sapp, but that style of play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, he's probably a little bigger, so I mean, I think that they will probably, try to expand his repertoire. I would imagine that they'll,
can penetrate, powerful, swim.
Yeah, that's.
I had all the descriptions.
You got all this
in my breakdown, Freddie.
Yeah, But I think when you look at what they brought back in terms of Lawrence Guy, I mentioned Devon Godchow. They still have, Cowart, Carl Davis, Henry Anderson. That's kind of the core group. Dietrich Wise, can't forget him. I think Barmore stands out. Definitely an interior guy. I don't think, he's that, Wise and Guy kind of slip out to the end. So I think he'd be mostly on the inside, but I think he'll give them something that they don't really have, something they certainly lost with Adam Butler. And I think
how is he against the run?
That'll be the question. I think that'll determine what Christian Barmore's ceiling is. Can he? I mean, he's got the size. I mean,
Chicago
he's 6'4",
trading up again.
310. To do the kind of two-gapping stuff that they like. But I think as a rookie, we talk about guys that can come in and play like a little role as a rookie. I think he comes right in. He's part of that. All right, 3rd and long, Barmore, Uche, Winovich, those are the guys that'll be able to get there. And, I mean, let's face it.
The Cincinnati Bengals have traded the 38th pick to the New England Patriots. With the 38th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Christian Barmore, defensive tackle, Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it looks like the Eagles are now trading Landon Dickerson right behind him. So it's an Alabama palooza right now of
No, the Eagles took
Eagles took Landon Dickerson ahead of him.
And then the Patriots took Barmore, and then Chicago traded up with Carolina and took Tevin Jenkins.
All right, so a little action here. Let's go to the phones, 855-PATS-500. Reaction, Kevin's in San Francisco. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, boys, how we doing?
Good. What do you think of this move?
Well, I was looking forward to maybe grabbing that wide receiver from Purdue. But, whatever. Most important thing is that they actually pulled the trigger yesterday on a quarterback. So I'm happy with that. Hey, Paul, I wonder if you remember, we had a little wager on whether or not the Pats would move up or down in the first round, and we drew no blood. We pushed.
Okay.
So no BC hat for you.
Oh, did I bet that they would do something?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Definitely.
I don't remember.
Thankfully, I don't have to wear
It's
a
written
BC
in
hat.
blood on the table.
I do remember the BC hat bet. I don't remember the particulars.
the steps.
Yeah, it was. If they moved back, you had to wear it. If they moved up, I was going to buy you guys a $500 dinner. So.
Oh, I remember it now.
How did I forget that one? I would have been much more disappointed.
Yes,
moving up in the second count
for a $500 dinner. I think it was worth it to wear a BC hat.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you didn't want to do it, but Freddie cajoled you into doing it. So, in good
Freddie's
faith,
been making me do
Paul,
things for a lot of
you're such
years.
a good. Yeah, Paul. So in good faith, I want to send you guys a couple $100 for some lunch.
Oh,
you don't have to. You don't have to do that.
No, I don't have to do it. But you guys have been giving me years of pleasure. So
you can just Venmo it directly.
Paul at Perillo.com.
Who can I Venmo?
No. I'm seriously like you could talk to Matt Morrell when he comes back next week, but.
They go to the same place for lunch every single day, and it'll cost you about $23.
I don't really appreciate your tone.
We have appetizers?
I'm not wrong.
What's that? Okay, yeah.
Where's my appetizers?
Hey, but real quick, guys, I had a quick question for you regarding yesterday. And by the way, I love the negativity on the show. It's fantastic. Don't go changing. And as far as the pick yesterday, I was kind of indifferent when they went with Mac Jones. I wasn't upset. I wasn't elated, and I figured it's going to sort itself out. But it dawned on me that this is a little bit more indicative of the fact that Bill might be one and done on his experiment with the new speed quarterback type of offense by going back to a guy like this. And I was just wondering if you thought that's reading into the tea leaves too much, or do you think he might have said, you know what, I'm going to go back to what made me successful for 20 years?
I do think you're reading into the tea leaves a little too much because I don't think he had a speed-based quarterback last year. He had a power-based quarterback.
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
There was no speed to be seen.
It's like a power back, you know.
And I don't think that any coach wants a guy who can't throw.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what he had. He had a guy who could pick up 3rd and 1s who couldn't throw.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody would sign up for that.
Yeah. I think that they think,
except for Bill,
they got a quarterback who they can eventually rely on, who's going to be able, who's not going to make a lot of mistakes, who's going to be able to hit the open receiver and make right decisions and limit mistakes. And you know, listen, he broke an NCAA record for completion percentage. And yes, he was throwing to really good receivers, but that, you know, he was on time with that. It wasn't like they were having to make acrobatic catches to make up for his arm. He's an accurate thrower. And from what we've been told, he's a smart kid who picks up defenses in his own offense really quick. So I think, you know, Bill Belichick says, I can work with this guy.
Yeah.
He, you know, now it's a matter of how good are the people around him.
Yeah.
Does
his processing and smarts translate up to the pro level?
All right.
And I was right. He had 8 sacks last year.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade? Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered, 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Mike's in the Bronx. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm a big fan of the show.
Great.
Hey, Mike.
Real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mike. Yeah, I love the positivity you had for Mac Jones. I was really hoping they were going to pick up Justin Fields. I was a little disappointed, but I mean, it is what it is. Real quick question though, I hear there's some reports out there that Bill Belichick had a chance to pick up I believe it was a 10th round pick, but he stood put at 15. He was supposedly, you know, in talks for the 10th pick. Did you guys hear anything about that?
I saw a report earlier today. I don't know if there's any validity to that. I don't know if that's accurate. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he had opportunities to move up and decided to stay put.
Yeah, I mean, I probably guess that's. I mean, is that common? A team like calls down and says, "Hey, you want to give us a bunch of picks to move up to 10?" No, we're good. I don't know. I mean, we don't know the truth, but yeah, I mean, I think they were content to sit and see what fell at that point. I mean, there were still some good guys on the board at 10. You know, it hadn't really gone sideways yet. I mean, maybe around there it did, but I think at that point you didn't know for sure how it was going to go.
Right. Okay, I understand. Great. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Mike. Let's go to Pat Nagawam. What's up, Pat?
What's up, guys? No hangover today.
Hey, that's a win for
great.
you.
Can't make any promises about tomorrow, though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Tomorrow's Saturday. Yeah.
Friday.
I wanted to throw a couple names out there for you guys. A couple guys on my wish list. I know they just picked up Darisaw, but do you guys still think that they might pick up a guy like Tyler Sheldon to be the nose tackle? And I wanted to throw a cornerback name at you too, but there's another guy that's on the wish list that I've seen, kind of a Patriots player that would make sense, seeing how Jimmy White's only on the team for this year, and that's Demetric Felton.
Yep.
When you guys, Paul and Mike, when you guys did the defensive back prospect podcast, there's a guy that's kind of flown under the radar. He opted out this past year, and you know, a lot of the quote unquote experts said that he'd probably be a top 50 pick had he played. And Ambry Thomas from Michigan.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I think. Yeah. I mean,
he's a day 3 guy, and he looked from what I've seen of him, which I mean, admittedly isn't a lot, but he looks like he could play. I wanted to know what you guys thought of him.
Yeah, I'll run right down. I mean, I think with Shelvin, I would have probably ruled him out just because I think he's in that model of
Thanks,
what
Pat.
they got with Devon Godchaw and with Lawrence
Yeah,
Guy.
I really
think
liked him, but
they're
I'm
good.
not-
Carl Davis. They don't need another
many are we gonna
big
take?
run-stopping defensive tackle. Ambry Thomas, I think, is a good one to bring up. We were talking about a lot of the top corners have kind of gone. I think he's one of the more mid-round developmental outside kind of guys. So I think that's a good name. He's come up a lot. The Patriots have to be familiar with him. After looking at Michigan so much the last couple of years with the guys that they took there. Who was the last one? Felton. And Felton, I think we
Felton, I like
we didn't
is
know
that-
if he was going to be a running back, a wide receiver. He
Yeah,
seems
I
like he's
think
kind
he
of a
could
weapon.
be
So
a
maybe
flat
he's
out.
your
He's Curtis Samuel. I
weak
think he
man.
could be like a flat out wide receiver at the NFL level. He's not much of a running back, but yeah, he can catch the ball and he can make plays. And as a day 3 guy, I'd be interested.
Yeah, interesting names.
Catch up on some of these emails. Wade in Holbrook says Mac Jones interviewed like a seasoned pro. Said all the right things. Sounds like a competitor ready to do whatever he can to help the team. That is more important than who starts. Looking forward to seeing who comes out of training preseason as the starter.
I agree with everything he said, except there was one weird thing. What is more important than who starts? Saying the right things is more important than who starts?
And helping the team, he said.
Well, you can't help the team if you're a quarterback and you don't play.
Right.
Right? Like everything. I mean, I'm nitpicking. That's semantics. But I agree with everything he said. I think today he struck all the right chords.
Yeah. Justin in Orlando, how do you guys feel the team will approach Stidham? Will they consider him as competition to back up Mac if Cam just sucks, or do they cut bait earlier? Also, are you able to increase the overall volume of the show? My speakers are maxed out, and it's still quiet.
Oh.
Wow.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Talk louder.
We
Stidham?
actually did increase the volume, so.
Okay, good.
All right, pump up the jam.
Well, I mean, they haven't been averse to keeping 3 quarterbacks before, and even though he's a first-round pick, he's a rookie quarterback.
But here's the thing, and I was thinking about this driving in this morning. Okay, let's say Cam starts. Cam has his plays, right?
Yeah.
He's a different quarterback than Stidham.
Yep.
Less Stidham, but definitely a different quarterback than Mac Jones. Once you install Mac Jones, doesn't Stidham become more of the natural backup?
Well, I mean, their styles might be a little bit more similar.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that it's specific to down, and it's like, so all right, so instead of 3rd and 1 at the goal line, you're not going to call a QB draw. You're going to call a fade to, I think it's subtle differences. I think when you're in the middle of the field and, you're playing kind of regular offense, maybe the changes aren't quite that much. I mean, I'm trying to remember back of, how many plays did they run near midfield that you're like, that's, there were definitely a few.
I'm just saying,
especially
it's
against
week
the
10.
Jets. But
It's week 10.
Yeah.
Mac Jones has established himself, and he sprains his ankle in the 3rd quarter.
Yep.
Who are you bringing in?
Whoever's played.
How bad was Cam It's a to lose the relatively job? close
I mean,
game.
well, but just let's
I need to know more about Cam's performance.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, did
Like
Cam,
if it's week 1 and Mac
I said
Jones,
week 10.
but so did Cam lose the job
Yes.
or did Mac win it?
Well, Mac won it.
Then Cam comes in.
but if
If
Cam lost it and
Mac
was
Jones
terrible,
played because they were 2-8 in week 10,
Yeah,
then
maybe.
Stidham plays.
Yeah,
Okay.
could be. Although, I mean, we saw.
How do you like when someone does what you do to us all the time?
Oh, it's
Give multiple answers
you
depending on.
mean actually give a thoughtful answer? Actually think about their answer? No, it's fine. I have no problem with it. I don't get all
I know.
snarky.
Hey,
Harumph.
Hey, listen.
Listen, there we go.
It's awfully early to get cranky.
No, it isn't. You
Yes,
can always
it
get
is.
You can always get cranky.
No, it isn't.
Never get too cranky.
No, I that's how I would look at it. Is if Cam lost the job because he played poorly,
Yeah.
then probably Stidham's going to go in. If Cam was playing okay, but the kid just was coming on in practice every week and getting better and better, and we got to see what we might have lightning in a bottle here. He's all ready to go. Then I would go back to
Are
Cam.
you guys with me that they're going to probably keep all 3 of them?
Yeah.
You think they'll keep all 3 of them?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
another
You
one.
gotta.
That's another one I need more information on.
maybe bring an undrafted guy in too.
I got to see what Cam looks. Does Cam improve, or is Cam what Cam was last year?
Cam's a little bit better.
Then I don't need Stidham.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just say too, doing a little more digging on Barmore. 3 forced fumbles. you know, I mean, I think he played a similar role at Alabama to what he's going to do here. You know, it's kind of specialty. I mean, he's only got 6 starts in 24 games in 2 seasons. So, you know, I think and he played up and down the line, and I think they've got some real good, you know, pieces now. And last year, you guys know it. I mean, I just thought the defensive front 7 was so thin, and you know, and they couldn't really do what they like to do, which is mix and match guys and really spin the dial. You're basically stuck with. Hopefully Lawrence Guy can hold up, and whoever's playing next to him has a good game. And if he didn't, you know, when you saw some that they did, Carl Davis, you know, against the Ravens, I thought was one of those moments. But otherwise, they just didn't have the depth at all. After free agency, after adding Barmore, even though you lost Butler, I think they've just really done a great job. And that, you know, defensive front, I still firmly believe, you know, that's where if you got a good defense, it starts up front with those guys. Barmore seems more and more like an ascending kind of guy. Question is just how much can he play, but I think out of the gate he's going to step in and help him on passing downs.
He's the best pick they could have made, bar none.
But no question the best defensive tackle in this class, which I know is this year's weird, but I think that's worth something that, you know, they continue to kind of commit themselves to rebuilding the front.
Alexander from Toronto writes in, I hope you are doing well. I'm curious why some of you are not excited about Mac Jones, but you were pushing for the Patriots to get Garoppolo. After watching Jones's tape, my pro comparison for him is Jimmy G. In my eyes, we potentially just drafted a 7-year younger, cheaper, and less injury-prone version of Garoppolo. Yes, there is a chance of him not working out.
How do you know he's not
But overall, I really like the pick.
How do you know he's not injury-prone? He's played like a handful of games in college.
I don't think
and
there's
none
much
in the
comparison.
pros.
I mean, I'm not telling you that Mac Jones or Jimmy Garoppolo was better or worse.
Was Jimmy Garoppolo injury-prone at
Their skill
Eastern
sets
Illinois?
are not overly similar, if you ask me. Garoppolo was much more athletic than Mac Jones.
Absolutely.
Maybe Mac Jones will turn out to be a better player because maybe he's more accurate than Jimmy is. Maybe he's a quicker
decision maker. Maybe he reads. I have no idea. We'll see.
I think there's
but
some crossover.
in terms of what they do well, Garoppolo uses his feet.
Yeah.
And
I agree
Mac
with
Jones doesn't.
I agree with you.
It's not really a comparison.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I think they both kind of have some questions about their deep ball and their deep accuracy. You know, that's something that they both kind of share. And I think there is some overlap. Just
Yeah, I think Garoppolo has a better arm, and I think that the other that Jones might be more accurate.
And I think that when they're both going well, it's over the middle, it's out quick, it's the quick passing game. So I think there are some elements that there's some similarities, but.
And I need to stick up for Jimmy on the injury thing. Like, was his knock coming out of college that he was injury prone?
Well, that's why I think what you said about how do we know that
Yeah.
Mac Jones is not. Mac Jones hasn't played it
Hasn't
down
played.
yet.
Right. Yeah.
And he's barely played in college.
Yeah. Garoppolo didn't have that knock coming out of college.
No.
You know.
He got hurt when he got to the pros.
Yeah. Let's go back to the phones. Lars is in Camp Pendleton.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Thanks for taking the call, gentlemen.
Hey, Lars.
Hey, Lars.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are back on quarterback because I was feeling a little guilty. I called in right as that defensive tackle was selected, and I knew it would be making Deuce's day.
Well, Deuce keeps trying to bring us back to the front 7, but yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few more points about that.
I'm sorry, Deuce. You do that on your own
Keep
time.
it to yourself.
But, in all seriousness, though, I'm glad we're talking specifically about Jimmy G because, this is what I'm thinking. And I guess I'm not overly excited about Mac Jones, but I'm thinking right along the lines of like 2 weeks ago when the 49ers made their trade up and we were all thinking that they would maybe take, the rumors were it was going to be Mac. So then it was like, are they going to keep Jimmy G or not? And I almost think like we should take that analysis and apply it to this situation where Cam is the Jimmy G. And, he's trying, I know we've got a lot more direct evidence from last year in terms of what to expect, but I have some unreasonable hope that he's still on the roster because there's something in addition to the intangibles that we're just going to wait and see with more preparation or his healing of his injuries that made him throw the ball like it was a medicine ball all of last year. And I just think he's in a position where Jimmy G was for the 49ers, i.e. he's on your roster, he's not your long-term plan. You have Mac
Lame
Jones
duck.
literally behind him here. And, it's his chance to get his next contract. He's 31, 32 going into the season. I think he's in the exact same position Jimmy G would have been with San Francisco if they kept him. And I think that there were some really strong arguments made for why you would keep Jimmy and sit Mac Jones. So I think, going back to Fred's conversation yesterday about expectations of taking him at 15 and expecting him to start, I'm hopeful that they're competitive in camp and Cam wins the job and plays well enough that he doesn't have to come in unless Cam gets hurt, and then rebuild.
I just worry about that if they're neck and neck. What does that say about Mac Jones?
Well, I just think it just would say that Mac Jones isn't quite ready yet, like from an experience level. He doesn't know enough yet. Like, is this offense confusing or not?
To Cam Newton, it was.
No, well, it's supposed to be confusing to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that the big thing? Like all the receivers.
We poo-pooed that.
It's so hard.
That's a myth.
No, I know, but it doesn't matter what we do.
I know, but let's deal with what's real.
Okay, a lot of receivers in skill position players have had a difficult time assimilating to this offense.
Oh, there's happened.
So if Mac Jones does, I'm not going to say he's a bust. He doesn't get it. I'm going to say, no, a lot of other people before him had trouble doing it too.
Yeah. But if he comes in camp and you're like, man, he's getting the ball out on time. Like, he looks comfortable. He seems
They're not being batted down.
Because we saw last year what it looks like when a player doesn't look comfortable in the system.
You're so negative.
We always get accused of being negative. He's sneaky negative over there.
He's not so sneaky.
Yeah.
I'm sneaky real. I'm keeping it real.
Oh God.
All right, thanks, Lars. All right, we're gonna slip into audio only mode now per NFL rules. So we're going to audio only, and I believe we are now. You can just hear us. You can't see us, and that's not because we don't want to be seen. It's because of the NFL rules. We always play by the rules.
Yeah,
we'd rather be heard than seen anyway.
Your safety dude from TCU finally went there.
Yeah.
Moring.
Oh yeah,
Moring. How do you pronounce that?
Mehring. I think it's a little more of a.
Travis Mehring. I believe they traded. I think the Raiders got him.
Raiders.
So they'll pair him with what's his face, the other crazy back safety that they took a couple years ago that got hurt. Remember what I'm talking about? I'm blanking on his name on the Raiders.
Abram.
No. Yeah, Abrams? Jonathan Abrams. Yeah, Jonathan Abram. That's what I'm thinking.